I was so ready to come up with the greatest Venture Brothers theory ever, but dagnabbit, the show is too good. All the open-ended issues or given clues eventually get addressed, or the show doesn't give enough to grasp onto for a proper theory. Seriously, this show does not get enough credit for how well it's put together in terms of detail, continuity, writing, and character development. I mean, did you guys see season 4, episode 1, where they established where they were in a timeline through the CGC rating of an open comic book? No one goes to the geeky level that this series does. Venture Brothers deserves so much more hype than it gets, so I'm still gonna make this less than perfect theory with the hopes of turning at least a few new fanboys and girls onto the best animated series on television. I'm gonna mention spoilers through season 6 though. You have been amply warned. Well, first failed theories first. I was determined to speculate that Hank is not actually a Venture. My idea was that Doc, Thaddeus, Rusty, Dr. Venture, however you prefer to address him, he fell for a girl who already had a son, Hank, and Doc and the unnamed mother went on to create Dean. You don't have to watch the show for long to see that Doc clearly favors Dean. In season 2, Dean starts being groomed to become a super scientist, like Dr. Venture believes he himself is. And this grooming goes on to internships and even colleges, right down to making Dean a lab in the compound, whereas Hank never seems to be offered the same opportunities or have the same expectations. And there have been multiple comments that always made me suspicious that Hank was not truly a Venture. In season 3, episode 12, Brock says, "You forgot your son." Doc replies, "Dean's right here." Season 3, episode 13, Sergeant Hatred said that Hank is not a chip off the old block. In season 4, episode 2, the boys are being held ransom, and Doc asks, "Will you take half for Dean? You can keep Hank." Season 4, episode 11, when Doc thinks he's being held hostage, he fights to save Dean and says they can kill Hank. And in that same episode, Doc claims that Hank got thrown into this life when referring to Hank's adventuring. So over and over again, it's shown that Dean is favored, and it's implied, in my mind at least, that Hank may not really be Doc's biological son. And if the words aren't enough, just look at Hank and Dean. Dean looks like Dr. Venture cloned himself, aside from the nose and I think some freckles. And Hank looks nothing like any other Venture we've seen. Plus, Hank is blonde. And genetically, a red-haired person and a pure blonde person would only produce strawberry blonde children. So even if Doc had a baby with a pure blonde, that would mean that someone in the Venture family gene pool would have to be blonde, and that Doc is carrying the recessive gene, which is possible, but so far we've only seen Ventures to be redheads. So going strictly by what we're shown through season 6, if all Ventures are redheads, even mating with a pure blonde would produce children that are 100% strawberry blonde. But this gets better because Hank's mom cannot be blonde because Dean clearly has brown hair, which would require a parent with brown or black hair when paired with a redheaded mate. A blonde and a redhead cannot produce a brunette child, and a brunette and a redhead cannot produce a blonde child. I know Dermot might throw a monkey wrench in this theory and prove that Doc is carrying a blonde gene, but consider the fact that Dermot has never been DNA tested to be proven a Venture. I mean, really, the whole story arc never made sense. If Nikki was only 15 and her mom was opposed to the relationship, but Doc really loved her, why not just bide your time and run away at age 18 when Dermot is 3? Why would you not pursue the man that you are obsessed with? Nikki's situation comes off like a classic scam to shake someone down for money. And I mean, with how clingy Doc has acted towards Sheila, you know, Dr. Mrs. the Monarch, if there was really a girl out there who was romantically interested in him at all, why was he not all over that? I don't know, but personally, I won't believe Dermot is actually a Venture until we get some regular science in the show to prove it. Then, as I'm sure we've all noticed, Hank has a really round face. So round, it's almost bizarre in comparison to the other characters. Honestly, I have tried and tried to find characters that look like Hank so that I could theorize about who his father and mother were, but the best I could come up with was Baron Underbite based on his appearance in college, and Leslie, that lady that the deceased Asian fellow was obsessed with. Actually, I thought Leslie was a fair guess, since Doc gets accused of sleeping with her in college. But then Doc says he didn't lose his virginity until he was 24, and we never hear of Leslie again. So I'm putting that out there as a thought bubble, and I expect full credit and praise if I end up being right. But I didn't really get anywhere aside from that speculation. I know people are angry typing at me right now that the show always refers to Hank and Dean as twins, but bear with me here. There are multiple times throughout the series where we get to see the Hank and Dean clones in their tubes. Now, for a long time, I didn't pay it much attention, and I had always thought that the clones were made to order, by which I mean Dr. Venture popped some DNA into a machine and produced a new child that was the same age as the one who died. However, when rewatching the entire series again for this theory, I found that notion to be false. In Season 4, Episode 3, we are shown a much younger Doc in a lab full of baby Hank and Dean clones. Season 2, Episode 1 also tells us that the clone slugs were made from toenail clippings years ago. Doc also says at one point that the boys need to be more careful because they don't have backups anymore. Obviously, that all means that the clones are aging in real time with the boys. And so it's safe to assume that Doc did not clone the boys right at birth, because in Season 2, Episode 2, Hank complains that his ID has the wrong birth year on it. So that leaves it open to suggest that Dean and Hank are twins in the sense that they were cloned at the same time, but they may not have been originally born at the same time. I mean, other than Hank mentioning in Season 2, Episode 3 that he's 4 minutes older than Dean, we have no reason to believe that they're actually biological twins. Well, I mean, Hank's full name is Henry Allen Venture, a nod to Bartholomew Henry Allen, the Flash. But I would guess that last names are easy to manipulate when you live in a bubble and have very little personal contact with the outside world. Hank doesn't even go to the DMV to get his ID. Doc already has one ready for him somehow. So from what I can figure out, the Venture Boys' mom was a brunette. One of her mates was the red-headed Doc. The other was a blonde guy, since a pure blonde and a brunette pairing would have a 34% chance of producing blonde offspring. Or there is a possibility that Dr. Venture had a son with 2 different women, but looking at his love life throughout the show, I think that's stretching this theory farther than even I can believe in, making one mother with children sired by 2 different men the most likely scenario. But again, I never get enough information to solidify this theory. It makes me nuts. The best that I can offer to justify how the boys might not be biological twins is when we're shown that Hank dies once while jumping off the roof dressed as Batman, and Dean also dies once on his own. So if, say, Dean were cloned at birth and Hank was cloned around age 2 or 3, those solo deaths could explain how the boys might have different birth years. You might also wonder, why even bother to keep Hank alive if he's not Dr. Venture's biological son? Well, maybe Doc really truly loved their mother and she died, so keeping Hank alive is a way to keep the mother alive too. Or maybe Doc remembers growing up as a lone boy venturer with a former sidekick friend that he doesn't even remember, and he wanted someone to be there for Dean all the time. It's hard to say for certain, but Dr. Venture is certainly nostalgic and lonely enough to find a reason to keep Hank going. But Orpheus does say that he sensed a Venture boy when Dermot summoned him. So that could debunk this theory. Or it could support Doc having 2 children with 2 different women. I don't know yet because the series hasn't fully confirmed that Dermot is Doc's son. It's just all speculated and suggested. Anyways, I do want to talk about another speculation that I have, that Dr. Venture and the Monarch are half-brothers. We've been shown over and over again that Jonas Venture was a real ladies' man, and that he was a swinger, he had affairs with married women, he basically had any girl that he wanted at his disposal. Other than trying to make Doc look like a loser, why would the show repeatedly beat us over the head with this information unless they wanted the setup to be there when they reveal illegitimate children somewhere down the line? Actually, before I talk about the Monarch and Dr. Venture, quick note that I think Dr. Quim is another illegitimate Venture. But other than my suspicion and the affair we're shown between Dr. Quim's mother and Jonas, I have no proof to back that up. Okay, back on point. The only image we really see of Monarch's parents are a picture he finds in the Venture compound. But take a look at this photo. Why are two men touching the back of one woman as if they're both involved with her? And Monarch says that those are his parents, so that's his mother in the photo. Either they were swinging together, or Jonas lured Mrs. Blue Morpho into an affair that her husband didn't know about, but that seems clear that a romantic connection was present. But hey, let's talk about all this red hair. Not only do Monarch and Doc have the same colored hair, the dark Venture auburn, but the Blue Morpho had black hair. Now, just doing basic genetics on the characters we are shown, someone with pure black hair and someone with red hair can only produce children with brown hair. And you know, Doc and Monarch's entire relationship is like a dysfunctional sibling rivalry. Plus, they have the exact same body type, so much so that the characters repeatedly mistook Doc for the Blue Morpho when Monarch was wearing the suit. Even Jonas Jr. doesn't resemble Doc that much, and based on how Doc ate JJ in the womb, they're supposed to be identical twins. Identical, meaning they look just alike. But even before the Blue Morpho story arc started, the show was dropping some lineage hints, I think. In Season 4, Episode 16, Sergeant Hatred asks Monarch if he's a size Dr. Venture. In Season 5, Episode 2, Gary tells Doc that working for you and the Monarch, it's like the same thing. Not to mention Season 1, Episode 13, where Orpheus uncovered a secret while sifting through the Monarch's mind. A secret that we're never told, and Orpheus has his mind wiped so he doesn't even remember it. I don't believe that secret was about the Blue Morpho because Orpheus really doesn't follow the superhero villain circuit. And so Orpheus wouldn't have had such a strong reaction to what he'd found in the Monarch's mind. But a secret that would rock the Monarch's world would be finding out that he's related to Dr. Venture. Dr. Venture and the Monarch are two sides of the same coin, and should my theory be right, they're going to be revealed as half-brothers in the future. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed enough to like, subscribe, and share this video. I've also got a lot of other videos on my channel that you are fully encouraged to go check out. Plus, you can find me on Facebook at Say Halo Goodbye, which is my gamer tag, or Twitter at _Fanily.